As y'all know, I'm a huge Nikon fan, and I'm a landscape photographer. So when the Nikon D780 came out, I didn't really think too much about it. It's a successor to the Nikon Z750, which wasn't really a landscape photography camera in the first place. And all that really changed was about half an FPS. They got the Nikon Z6 live view settings, and they didn't have any battery grip, which made absolutely no sense to me. Especially with a pro level camera like that, they should be able to have a battery grip, and I'm not sure why they left it out there. But there is one feature that they came out with on this camera that really excited me and a lot of landscape photographers. And that feature itself is where you can shoot exposures up to 900 seconds. Now that's a lot of seconds. And the equivalent to that is a 15-minute exposure. And that's absolutely crucial for landscape photographers. In my previous video, I talked about how I really wanted a camera that could have exposures past 30 seconds because the Nikon Z6 only had exposure up to 30 seconds, and if I wanted to have exposure longer than that, I would have to use a time mode on the Z6 with a timer on my phone, and that method just seemed kind of inconsistent. The fact that like I would have to press the shutter and then use a timer on my phone, it's like two things going on at once. It's a lot of clutter, and I would have to press the shutter again, possibly risking me moving the camera or shaking it and maybe not getting the most sharpest photo possible. And also, if I had the camera in kind of a tricky situation, like it was hard to get to, then it would be really hard to press the shutter again. So having this 900-second exposure is absolutely crucial, and it's something that I've wanted on a Nikon camera for a long time. I know Fuji has had this feature for quite a hot second, but I don't shoot Fuji, and I really want that on a Nikon, and finally it has come to the Nikon D780. I'm not gonna buy this camera. The Nikon Z6 still has way more advanced features and it's just overall better to me than the Nikon D780 simply because of weight. I love the Nikon Z lenses, and just everything about the Z system is perfect for me and what I want to do. Plus, I already have a Nikon D3, so I don't necessarily need another DSLR. So what does this mean for the rest of the Nikon system? I think it's really important simply because this feature will be carried on into next gen Z cameras. So maybe the Z8, the Z6, things like that. This feature will be carried on to it, and it will give definitely me more incentive to buy those cameras. I don't really care about megapixels, I don't really care about specs, but this is the one spec that I really care about because it would just make my workflow so much easier, and the fact that I don't really have to set up all this cumbersome kind of settings and just work with a bunch of other different things when I could just have it right in camera. I don't think it's that hard to make an exposure go past 30 seconds, and to me, for landscape photography, this is absolutely huge. I'm really excited to see what Nikon does with this and able to put it maybe even in a firmware update for the Z6, and if that's the case, it would make my workflow so much easier, and it's a feature that I'm exceptionally excited for. I do acknowledge that the Nikon D810A had this feature as well. They could shoot exposures past 30 seconds, but that is a specifically astrophotography camera, and you can't really use that in real life scenarios, or you can't really use that in normal scenarios. You can pretty much only use that camera for astrophotography. So hopefully this feature carries on into all their other Nikon cameras as well. And another thing that they did was that on the top LCD, if you have like a second long exposure, it'll count down from when you started the exposure. Because when I'm shooting a long exposure on my Nikon Z6, it doesn't show me what the time is or whatever. It just blacks out and then it comes back up when the exposure is over. And that to me is, I mean, it works, but I don't necessarily see how much time I have left and things like that. So, I mean, it would just be so much easier if I could just have the timer right there on my camera. But yeah, this is kind of a midweek short for y'all. I want to be doing more midweek shorts for y'all because simply I just want to get some ideas out there and just talk about some random things. It's not going to be super long videos. But yeah, Nikon D780, very interesting camera, and hopefully they carry on all these other features into their next Z cameras, because really that would be so important, especially for me as a landscape photographer, and I'm sure a lot of other people would really appreciate it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me, y'all. Let me know what y'all think about the D780 as a whole. I think it's a somewhat interesting camera. It's not a lot, it doesn't have enough features for me to like really buy into it, or I really don't feel like anyone really buy into it when the Z6 is also cheaper and it just has better features to me overall, and it's just a better system. So yeah, I don't think the D780 is too compelling for too many people, but that one feature really kind of blows me away. So hopefully it gets into all the other Nikon Z cameras. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section down below. Comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.